bottle to give my brains a rest. The world should change so quickly, I'm sure it's for the best. Fire and water, they making war here behind my eye. The bottle should promise a better life, but these tears they cannot lie. Sing to the moon, sing to the stars, sing to the dawn, but sing from your heart. My head is hiding under my arm in pain, great pain. Sing to the moon.
Welcome to the Talking Ethics podcast with Lulama and Corrie. But unfortunately, Lulama couldn't be with us today. As you can see, he's doing a very important workshop for the EthiX Institute. So it's me, Corrie Campbell, flying solo today. The Talking Ethics podcast is brought to you by the EthiX app, that's EthiX with an X, the EthiX Institute, that is EthiX with a C, and Lasuba Difference, the ad agency. Please ring all the bells, press the knobs, like us, wave at us, follow us, because today starts our campaign to spread the word of ethics and honesty into schools. We are going to start changing the culture of the whole world to a culture of honesty, to make telling the truth as cool as it is not to smoke. Which brings me smoothly to our two esteemed guests with us here today, Mr. Alfred Phiri and Mr. Martin King. Thank you so much for being with us here today. Really appreciate your time. Thank you. They are members and program managers of the esteemed President's Awards of South Africa. But before we delve into the President's Awards, let's find out about the gentlemen first. What makes them tick? What makes you guys tick? What are you about? How about you start, Martin?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Corrie. My name is Martin. I am a program manager by day and a writer creative by night. I've spent about 6 years or so in education. So what keeps me going is my love for people, young and old, and teaching them something new to improve their lives and, improve their prospects.
You write by night?
I do.
What do you write?
So I started out as a sports writer and then slowly moved on into poetry and creative writing. So a bit of a, jack of all trades when it comes to writing. Anything creative, anything prose or poetry, that's what I do.
Well, when we get deeper into the schools thing and the ethics and fraud and corruption, we're going to write poetry.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Over to you.
All right. My name is Alfred Phiri, Program Manager for the President's Award. I represent the provinces of Limpopo, Mpumalanga, and Northwest Province as well. So I work with schools and youth centers and institutes of higher learning. On my spare time, of course, I'm into the content creation side of things, something that I really would take up on. I think it needs a lot of timing and patience as well. I think as well with the effort that you put in, I need to sit with you and take notes. So but pretty much that's what I do as well. Of course, taking into a little bit of interest into sports as well. And of course, day-to-day Chelsea fan as well, painful. But yeah, shame. I know.
Sorry.
I know we're not going to speak about that. So.
No, we won't.
But no, other than that, that's what I enjoy doing as well, like my spare time. Bit of a game or two. Enjoy by playing a bit of games as well, and that's me.
But that's fantastic that you're into content creation.
Yes.
Because what we are going to be doing with the youngsters, with the school learners,
yes,
with you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all into content creation, and youngsters really like to go into the social media.
Absolutely.
So we're going to look at that in
that's
depth.
a big thing. Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
This award, the President's Award, started by the Duke of Edinburgh in 1956, I think it was. And it's in over 130 countries, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes.
Do you interact with them? How do you interact? Do you all talk to each other? How does that work?
Well, we don't talk to them directly. Sometimes we do, but the most common platforms of interaction are the all, what do they call them? All association conferences.
Yeah, the all association conferences.
Yes, so we have all association conferences. Yeah. Every single year, a host is chosen in each country, and that's generally where we get to interact with the countries. And we're in Africa, so we interact most closely with the African countries, but we do have a chance sometimes to speak to those in Europe. And it's generally a case of finding out how they run things and what can we learn from them and vice versa.
That's fantastic. So Our culture goes there, their culture comes here.
Absolutely.
So that's 130 countries. I think there are only 200 and something countries in the world. So it's in what, about 60% of the countries on the globe. That is amazing.
Yes,
And
100%.
and what is the draw card? I know you love working with youngsters, you've said, and you love writing, but what is the draw card for this thing? So what does it do that keeps you so interested?
So we've, of course, there's a thing we've identified in terms of skill development. We have an ethos of, can learning happen outside the classroom? That's what we try to draw into the young people. Yes, we understand that there's elements of course, academics being one of the elements as well, but there's different other aspects of a young person we would like to tap into, of course. So when they go into the outside world and learn particular things and traits, they can apply those skills that they've learned as they were younger. For example, who says that a doctor doesn't have to understand how to do woodwork or something to that nature, or metalwork, or anything that basically gets them to work with their hands, or so we try to get that out of young people. That's our draw card to say, can you learn outside of your academics? Not every child we understand is academically strong, but we can actually, help harness their particular skills as well.
And we find that nowadays the education and employment institutions require more than academics. So in addition to a doctor learning how to do woodwork, a doctor has to have character, or an engineer, character and the ability to work within a team, and civic competence. All of those are outcomes that are a big draw for the award. And we find that it's very important to prepare the youngsters going into those workplaces with these qualities.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. So there's the teamwork, and you're looking at, and anyone can get involved.
Absolutely.
How do you choose candidates? How do you, what is the criteria?
14 to 24,
Yep.
24 years of age. And that's pretty much the only criteria, to be honest with you. We are very interested in penetrating every single background, every single race, every single where in South Africa, to be honest with you. 14 to 24, that's all it takes.
That's fantastic. Yeah. So they don't have to be at school, because obviously school going age is like 19.
Yeah.
So where would those 20 to 24-year-olds be essentially?
We'd say definitely schools,
universities,
institutes, whether it be private or government based as well, youth centers, churches, wherever there's young people that are interacting and being busy. That's where our target market is as well.
Yeah.
So it's very expensive. There's no limitation to it as well.
Yeah.
I think I always say this: wherever there's young people, that's our engine. So in a nutshell.
And in the past, previous offenders, you can talk a little bit about
Yes,
that.
definitely. Yeah.
Experience.
Also, at-risk youth and young offenders as well. That's also the target, where we feel that young people who are actually within in certain structural facilities where they're at risk or young offenders have that opportunity to rehabilitate as well. We also believe in rehabilitation as well. Yeah. And for our young people to also have the opportunity to expand forward after they've been released and have the opportunity equal to a child who's hasn't offended anybody or done anything wrong, or
but
not
they
within
interact. They will interact.
Absolutely.
The non-offender, the offender.
Yes,
absolutely.
because it's context is very, very important in that case, because I think with the outcomes we look at as well, not only is it we're looking at civil competence, but we're also looking at interaction within, not on from a cultural perspective, and also from a at-risk youth and another child who's just an ordinary kid perspective as well, to understand that you shouldn't do that. I think most of the time I've heard young people who are young offenders say, tell other kids, don't do this. It's not worth it. If you want to go and shoplift at school, at the shops, and get up to mischief, don't do it. It's not worth your time. Yeah. It's tedious. It's going to hurt you a lot. So I think that's the joy of the interaction between the two parties. Yeah.
Because I'm involved with 67 Blankets for Nelson Mandela Day. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
Of course.
Yes,
South African.
No, we did a lot of work a few years ago in prisons. And I'm not going to go delve into that, but one of the things that really came through for all of us was, there but for the grace of God go I.
Yes.
And where you start learning your forgiveness and your things like that. Because these people, most of them have done heinous, terrible crimes, but they've only gone mad for 10 seconds. And that's the end of their
That's
life.
it. Yes,
Absolutely.
That's the end of their life.
That's all it takes.
But why I'm bringing this up, because it's so interesting that you guys work with offenders. Now, do you go to, where would these offenders essentially be, and how would they interact with, say, a school?
Yes.
They wouldn't necessarily interact with them on a regular basis, especially considering that we have particular set of pillars in our organization. We look at the service, we look at skill development, we look at physical recreation, and we look at outdoor adventure. So we'd actually look at where a child can interact through maybe service activities. You'll find that we have identified maybe a community. We encourage those young offenders to go into that community, perhaps maybe, for a better example, looking out for the elderly, orphans, orphans and vulnerable children as well in those spaces. Perhaps also helping with cleanup projects as well, where kids from resource backgrounds are also part of and parcel of those projects as well. So just to name a few. So even in the sports side of things, maybe they're playing football together or playing
maybe
netball.
they're part of a sports club.
A sports club, of course.
So there are no limits to where you chaps go into.
No.
There are no limits.
No limits.
No
I'm going to keep
discrimination.
asking these questions because I've got to point to this question.
Yes.
And we did discuss that. But let's just go back to, so Prince Philip started this thing in 1956, right?
Yes, correct.
Who was Kurt Hahn, and how did he come to do it? I know he was an educationalist, a German chap, I think. But how did he come to hook up with Prince Philip?
Prince Philip was at the school the school that he was operating at. So Kurt Hahn was operating and doing this round square, of course, type of activity. I don't know if you're familiar with round square.
I'm not.
Yeah, no.
Tell
So
me.
round square is basically they focus on the same type of concepts in terms of skill development and service delivery and stuff like that. So they kind of did something within that structure. And then, of course, Prince Philip, having his rank and where he was in the royal family, said, why don't I just start something? And then Kurt Hahn, of course, co-signed with him, and then they started something
And the
big.
rest
here.
is history.
The rest
The rest is history, yeah.
It's nearly 70 years.
Yeah.
And now Prince Edward has taken over as the patron.
Yes.
The fourth son, eh? Or
Yes. I think it's
well,
the
how many
fourth.
sons were there? Fourth child.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just to there was a thing that you were dealing with that I picked up that there are a lot of kids with sort of these mental problems because COVID really destroyed soaring costs of living costs.
Absolutely.
And the lost education. I mean, so how are you guys dealing with trying to fix that? I'm sure the mental side of things can't be very easy.
To be honest with you, it feels still like we're in a bit of a revival from COVID up until now. And the way we're dealing with it, our hands and feet on the ground are the award leaders. So the award leaders are any of the teachers or the child and youth care workers in the organizations we work with. And they are priceless, Corey. They do a job that honestly it's hard to express because it's happening day by day, and they're guiding the participant not only through their award program but also through pieces of their personal lives.
Life.
Absolutely. They're guiding them through life, right? And so I think that's the perfect answer to how we do it, is we do it through them. Without them, we wouldn't be able, because I'm just one person. I can't be everywhere all at the same time. And so to have all of these teachers who are eager and willing to work with the young people, incredible. That's how we do it.
So you're part of this big wheel that is just trying to get youth back on track.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's a whole network.
Basically.
Yes, it's a
Not
whole
only
network.
that, I think we also try to involve per each section for a young person to engage in the activities they do, there would be an assessor.
Yeah.
So if, let's say, I'm working at the local SPCA and Corey is my center manager, I report to Corey. So every time Corey sees, he gets a report, and then he could say, okay, well, he cleaned up the cages, but he didn't clean them good enough, you see? Or the cat scratched him because he pulled the cat's tail. Something to that effect. But of course, there's always somebody to monitor and to oversee that this young person, this participant is engaging in their activities consistently and diligently as well.
And it has to be an adult leader.
Yes,
Because we want to encourage accountability. So that it's not just their teacher or their parent saying one thing at the same time, but perhaps this almost immediately links itself into ethics, the accountability aspect of it, right? I'm catching you right now. it links itself immediately when everybody is keeping one person accountable, and they quite literally have nowhere else to go or nowhere else to say, well, I did this, but I didn't really do it. Every one of us are all saying the same story, and we're holding hands around this one child or this group of children.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You just hit on a big thing there, as you know. Today there's that big what's that big conference taking place at the moment?
The one in Benoni.
Benoni, yes. And I just heard a thing about servant leadership.
Yes. Powerful
Aren't
concept.
we lack one of the biggest things we are lacking in this government in everything, sometimes even public and private sector, is servant leadership, the concept of servant leadership. And what's at the first word that comes? Accountability.
Accountability.
Yes.
You know, Shamila Batoy was giving a speech now, and she was making a few excuses and things like that. None of the big names from the Zondo Commission.
Zondo Commission, yes.
Not one high-profile person has got an orange suit on. A lot of people below have. You know, she's actually doing amazing work but none of them have, and that's a leadership problem, and it's an accountability problem.
Absolutely.
Sure, you can add on a whole lot of other words, but those are the main things, and that's why when you mentioned accountability, I reacted to that.
And to add on to what you've said, and it goes back to what we've done in the program. Ideally, the main aim is to impact all of our youth. I think initially all of our youth should be doing this program. It should be a standardized. It should be part of a standardized curriculum, to be very honest with you. And but being that said, I've always said this, and even before Martin, before introducing him as an award leader, and I think that's the thing. Before I go back to the award leader thing, is that I always say that the success of a particular school is the reflection of your leaders. If your leaders fail, if your leaders are not applying particular traits or using the tools you've provided for them, it's not likely to succeed. If you, let's say for hypothetical reasons, or for hypothetical, say 50 kids are doing the program, you expect 100% completion rate. But if you're getting 10 kids completing and getting their bronze level, it's also the reflection of the adults. I've seen this through my teaching days. I've seen this through any type of form where I'm overseeing young people. The leadership is always a reflection of how your kids will react going forward.
And it's exactly the same with the country.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
It's the same with the country.
Absolutely.
Reflection.
Everything you've just said there is exactly the same
Yes.
with the country. And I think that's where we're going to help each other with this project.
100%.
Because the idea that Lulama and I, we've been discussing this for ages. And we had Cynthia Stimple on here. The whistleblower. Where's her book? Her book is there you go.
Yeah.
Here we go. Hijackers on board. Cynthia. We've spoken to everyone we've spoken to have said. So we say, how do we stop the rot? How do we stop? How do we get adults in charge?
Yes.
Like at schools, go to the youngsters.
Absolutely.
Go to the youngsters, and we've tried. We went to a school. I had the guy out from Outer here. What was his name? Ali Gule.
Okay.
He's the community outreach director at Outer.
Yeah.
And he set us up with a teacher. But unfortunately, the teachers, they got involved politically. Politically heard, and it wasn't not. And it's not no one's fault. It's no one's fault. It's just that we know politically there things can go wrong.
Absolutely.
And that's why when Lulama said, I know Alfred, I know the exact guy, and Alfred knows Martin. So, and that's why we're here. So we want to get ethics and fraud and corruption thinking into schools.
Yeah.
And you guys, you work now with up to 24. So maybe, because all my notes are about doing role plays with 15-year-olds. So 13 to 15, 15 to 17.
Yes.
But we can change it. Now, what I wanted to know is, you at a school, how do you get, you mentioned somewhere that Martin had a thing in Rosebank, like a venue.
Yes.
Kingsmead, Rodine.
I think it's Rodine.
Rodine.
Rodine School.
Oh,
Okay.
Rodine School.
Yeah, Rodine. Yeah,
Okay, that's in Parktown.
That's in Parktown. Yes.
Joburg,
Yes.
yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. No. But you had a place where we could get possibly other kids together, because Rodine's a very exclusive school, as we know. So would they accommodate if we got youngsters from other areas and we started doing workshops with them?
Absolutely. I think they would accommodate, but they're not the only school. So the wonderful thing is that we have a wealth of options, be it in Rosebank or Parktown or anywhere across Joburg. It's really a matter of just communicating with them ahead of time. And if they're interested, they can definitely get the kids together.
Because what we want to do is take Andy and all this equipment, and we go and do workshops with them.
Yes.
Like I've been doing a lot of homework on this. Role play scenarios can be an engaging way to explore ethical dilemmas and decision making. Yes. Here are some scenarios suitable for 15-year-olds from diverse backgrounds. So the first one, the obvious one, stolen wallet. Okay, they even say characters: Alex, wealthy, and Malik, low income. Scenario: Alex finds Malik's wallet with a significant amount of cash. Should Alex return it or keep the money? Discussion points: honesty, empathy, and privilege. So, and you know, with role plays and things like that, I've done a lot of stuff on the mines. We did an industrial theatre where we've got men into the show and those sorts of things. We're very, very aware of looking after people, because it can be quite a scary thing to come up and do the role plays and things like that. Unfair advantage, the expensive party. Characters: Lily, wealthy; Jamal, middle class. Scenario: Lily invites Jamal to an extravagant birthday party. Jamal can't afford the gift or the lavish event. What should Jamal do? Discussion points. You know, I don't know if these things are ringing a bell with you, chaps, we could do.
They are. Because I think with context is always important. When it comes to case studies, I think we are the king of case studies when it comes to the award, because there's many scenarios we deal with. There's many there's young people from different backgrounds and diverse cultures. So it always comes back to that where you see the end results and the outcome as well at the end of the day.
Yes.
So these are components and these are things that needs to be discussed among young people as well. I could even go as far as you are 18 or you are 17. What's the age? Okay, you are 17, 18 years old. You go for your driver's license test. You're going to ask your mom or dad to pay for your driver's license to pass it like that? Or are you going to do it honestly and pass it diligently and practice? These are certain topics that need to be spoken of, because young people actually engage. Because now as well, it trickles down, goes from the parents, it goes down to the child. Parent is thinking, I need to pay for my child to get a driver's license so I don't have to pick him or her up every day. Yeah. Then they can get a car type of situation. Yeah. So these are topics that need to be spoken of. Is that we think that it doesn't hurt anybody, but it does. Yeah. It comes back to ethics, because now it's a thing to pay for a license.
Yeah.
It's thing. Yeah.
And being as it is that the schools we work in, they emphasize leadership a lot. It's very, very important. So these case studies, I feel, will be a great platform to also discover that leadership.
Absolutely.
And I find that leadership works well, or I guess one of the best proof or platforms of evidence for leadership are these scenarios, these difficult situations. It's one thing to lead when everything is going your way and it's all going quite well, but the true leader really rises up in these under fire, so to speak, difficult situations.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I mean, literature and film, and analyze ethical themes in literature. We can do anything. We could take it in, and we set up the microphones. Get two people.
Yeah.
I've got a friend of mine with Lulama, Mpomolepo. I don't know if you know him. Fats from Rhythm City.
Oh yes, I remember him. Yes, I've seen him in one of your interviews.
So he'll come with us as well.
That's
so he just calms people down. Let's try these things, and this is where leadership starts happening. We should take this into the government, I think, and actually say, let's pretend you're all honest.
Absolutely.
Let's pretend there's no fraud and corruption here. I know it's a stretch, but let's pretend.
It's a big assumption.
No, because it does trickle down, and everybody is, I believe, especially when it comes to the program and our outcomes that we believe in, everything speaks to each other. Everything looks at it. Like again, you said, you can't be the principal of a school speaking about leadership and doing the right thing, but yet you engage in it on your part-time, on your spare time. Nobody might see it, but at the end of the day, you're still doing it. Yeah. What does that say about you as a leader? So, it's always about practicing and being the example. Somebody might not know, but it will catch up at the end of the day. Everything catches up. My mom always tells me, Things always catch up. You might think you're getting away with it. Yeah, my mom, she's like, you might think you're going to get away with it. Not that, this is when I was younger.
Well, you're getting away with a couple of things.
It's like, no, you might get away with a couple of things, but it'll catch up with you. And it's true. It does catch up with you eventually as well. So these are the type of things and topics that need to be discussed among young people as well.
I mean, your mother is 100% correct.
Oh, yeah.
I must just tell you.
Yeah, she's a pastor, so she knows what she's talking
there you
about.
go.
Yeah,
You see. But you see, now there we could go to her church maybe for the youngsters. Where is she a pastor?
Oh, it's just a church here in Foy's, not far from here, so it's just on the road.
Oh, we could go there and do some.
Yeah,
because you wanted to get the President's Award out there.
Yes,
we wanted
absolutely.
to get fraud, corruption, and ethics discussed.
Yeah.
Talking. It's like we've got the EthiX app behind me there.
Yes.
The EthiX app is to get people talking in companies and things like that.
Yes.
Because it's not a taboo subject. I mean, everyone's talking about whistleblowers, right? Talking whistleblower, and then we're going to protect whistleblowers, and yes, we're going to, and they never get protected.
Absolutely.
I mean, Ramaphosa was talking about it the other day, whistleblowers, and then does nothing. He was talking about it 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 6 years ago, and nothing ever happens. But if we can start with youngsters and everyone just keeps talking
Yes.
ethics.
That's the perfect place to start.
Absolutely.
To be honest with you. Yes.
Absolutely.
And yes, I think in presenting it as well, we should also target the underprivileged. We call them our underprivileged units.
Okay.
Those that come from the townships and the local
Yeah.
areas of Joburg.
And as far as rules as well.
Yeah,
so,
as far as rules are concerned. We have a very powerful group. They're called the Africa Tikkun group.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing group of youngsters. They're very eager to learn. So I'm already thinking, well, organizationally, this would be perfect for them to start that conversation and to keep it flowing within the organization. So it's definitely something we can present. I'm thinking up ideas as we speak.
It's great.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Let's think. Let's get this thing off the ground.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of people have been talking about kids for years.
Yes.
Yeah.
And no one has come up. People want to do it. It's not that no one wants to do it. They just haven't got. And I think we've come up upon a vehicle that could really make it work.
Absolutely.
Work for you guys,
Yes.
work for us,
For you,
and
yeah.
work for the country, and
Absolutely.
work for everyone in the world
Yeah.
to change the culture of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To tell the truth is cool. The truth is cool.
And then
That's cool.
I was having a conversation with Martin earlier, and I was currently in the Northwest Province, so I drove back from the Northwest Province
He
today.
travels a lot.
So, and as much as I've traveled to all these places, there's a disparaging separation when it comes to the basics for young people. I'm talking about some people have numeracy issues. Some people have struggles. So there's initiatives for numeracy. There's initiatives for literacy. Why not have initiatives for ethics? That's the most important, because these things speak to one another as well. Why not have, we talk about holistic development. We as an organization take the initiative to play the part and say, who can we involve on the exterior so that we can also be speaking the same language as well? One hand washes the other.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, what movie was this? They were talking about when your hand is separated, a finger can't function by itself. When you put a fist together, it always works together. So I cannot hold this with a finger. I have to hold with the hand. So my whole hand.
That was a movie.
I got it from a reference from a movie. I forgot which movie it was, but together. Oh, Long Walk to Freedom. Idris Elba, that one. Yes, yeah, and he said, he mentioned, and then he said,
Nelson,
and then he said, together, when you put all your fingers together and you got a fist, and when you work together, each finger helps each other. And that's what needs to happen with our future leaders. That's what needs to happen with our young people, because they're the ones who are going to dictate the trajectory of our country.
Absolutely.
That's the thing. And that's my biggest concern. My concern is not the adults. I work with the adults to help me help the young people as well. So, yeah.
You know what I find is also interesting about this conversation is that the more there is, the more ethics are standard within any organization or within any community, the more it encourages people outside that community to draw closer. Right? I find that places where that are rampant with corruption generally tend to push people away.
Absolutely.
And perhaps that's also why we have the current crisis where the youth don't want to really vote. They don't want to interact in political conversations because they feel like, well, why vote if we still have these
Nothing's
issues
gonna
of
change.
if nothing's going to change, right? So yeah, it's amazing. The more we apply this within any community, the more we draw people closer. It's just incredible.
We must just carry on with that finger and fist.
Yeah, fingers and fists.
Yeah,
Your hand. Yeah.
Why not? Nelson Mandela. But just to get back to your point,
Yes.
I believe, and people can debate this with me and whatever, that fraud and corruption is the cause of all the problems.
Yes.
And I'll tell you why. Like if they hadn't stolen the money and if the schools had the money, they would have better teachers, they'd have buildings, they'd have proper latrines, not pit latrines for youngsters at school.
Yeah.
It's just because someone stole the money. Some people say the Gupta stole R1 trillion. Let's say they 500 billion or whatever like that. It's almost a house for everybody on the planet. If you look at it simplistically
Quite
like
literally,
that.
yes.
That is very simplistic, I know. People say, "What if you had a wish, what would it be?" I want wish for education. Me, I take it always one step. They'll only get education once the money has stopped being stolen to get education.
Yes.
100%.
It's always my way of looking at it.
Incredible.
People argue it, but I think we're going to develop this thing into something quite incredible.
I would, if I could also just add on to what you've said there, I also don't think, and again, it goes back to the same point of one thing trickles to another that trickles to another. This is as well, it might be unpopular opinion or unpopular in certain aspects, but as well, we're not only looking at at a government perspective, we're looking at it at a corporate perspective too. You see, and look at companies manipulating rands. That's private sector. Because the private sector hides behind guides of laws, etc. That's a different story and a different topic for a different day. But you get what I'm alluding to. So that's another thing that needs to be addressed: is that where do they get this from? Are they protected by laws? Are they protected by laws that should be amended? So it also goes back to a reflection of, yes, you're absolutely right. A government type of thing, and I hate to politicize stuff. So, a government perspective, but as well a private sector which is manipulating what the government has given to them to use. So that also speaks to that as well. Say, oh, we can do this, and what is that term? Throwing stones and hiding your hands.
Yeah.
You see, that's the thing. We can't always throw stones and hide your hands. You have to be honest about it, because if you look at the rand manipulation situation, that's another story. That's I think with South Africans, Corrie, as much as we are aware of these things, I always think that we're not outraged enough. We're very distracted by the most mundane of things in our day-to-day lives.
Outraged, did you say?
Outrage, yeah.
Okay.
We're very selective. Sometimes with South Africans, we're very selective. I said this before. I said we were upset about rand manipulation for 2 weeks. Now there hasn't been a council or a board or a commission put together to ask these CEOs to say, what's going on here? Why have you done X, Y, and Z? How did you guys come to this? Good. We need to have these type of things. Again, it goes back to the whistleblowing, goes back to the accountability, because people are struggling. The potholes are bad. The people are the inflation rate is going up, is skyrocketing. Petrol is going up next week. So it shows you where these things are a spider web of things, and that's to say there's a spider web, but where's the spider? Where's the spider? So
but you're absolutely right, Alfred. It's not just government. There are lots of people out there, and that's why this app is for corporates. This app is for corporates. People to start talking. It's not just government. You're 100% correct. And we've got to go, and that's why we're going to go into that. But if we can get this right, we're not using the word if.
When
we get this right, most people in almost all companies have kids.
Absolutely.
And we must try and get, even if it takes us 20 years, 30 years. I'll be a little bit old then, but I'll still be here.
Yes.
They must go back home and question the parents. Question, isn't this, what about this? What are you doing this? You know what we did today? We did the thing about the wallet.
Absolutely.
How is the wallet analogy tied into some corporate stuff? Because what happens in corporates, just to your point, Alfred, is that whistleblowers still get attacked and vilified and lose their jobs and whatever. Sure, there's a possibility that a whistleblower is doing it for nefarious reasons, but they'll find it out. People like the whistleblower house, like Cynthia and Ben Tron, I think his name is. They will find out if it's. Is this right? Is this wrong?
Right? Yeah.
Let's go for it.
Is
And
it for the
they
right
really
reasons?
do their homework. And then when they say, let's go for it, then they go for it. And that's all in the corporate arena,
Absolutely.
you know? So we've got to get this thing going all across the board.
How many people in the corporates engage in nepotism? Let's have that discussion as well. So how many young people go and say, and this is a harsh reality, how many young people who go into varsity, you do the 3-4 years, they struggle, they sweat, their loans up to their heads through NASFIS or whatever initiatives, and they're struggling to get work because they want to go into that field, but the person's father, he runs the company, he gets his son a job, and he has a matric. So these are the discussions as well that need to be had. These are the type of things. These are the elephants in the room as well, especially for young people. I go everywhere, and I see graduates. As far as in the farm areas, a graduate who's probably got a degree in sciences and he's unemployed and he's in debt and he's not even 25 yet. These are the realities that young people are facing in these communities because he's deserved of this position, but he's not getting it because there's another person whose dad owns the company and he just got the job because just by sheer luck, he's a family member or a cousin or whatever the case. That also goes back. So again, corruption and fraud and all these things are a wide web of things that need to be spoken about, whether it be in government, whether it be in the private sector as well, because it does hinder, for me, it hinders our kids. It hinders these young people to get opportunities equally. We are the most unequal country in the world. That already says something. So,
Absolutely.
When you said something, just triggered a thought in my head, and let me run it by you.
Yes.
You said nepotism in the private sector, right?
Yes, 100%, yeah.
Is that not the same as catered deployment?
Ooh, yeah, I think it is. I would say it is.
I haven't thought of that, but as we were talking, I thought, because I mean, the DA just took the ANC to court because of catered deployment. I'm thinking nepotism is catered deployment in another form.
In another form,
yes.
It does. There's many ways to skin a cat.
Yeah.
So I would say that it is part and parcel of the same thing. You see.
Yeah. So but another thing, you were saying these graduates, 25 years old, do you know how many companies closed down last month in South Africa?
How many?
Apart from the mining sector,
100.
100.
Wow.
Did you see that? It was it's like 100.
Wow.
So why are they closing down? And I'm just getting back to your point that there's no work. Why are they closing down? Because of Eskom. Why is Eskom not giving people electricity? Because of fraud and corruption.
Absolutely.
Who's stopping the fraud and corruption? Someone talks about it, no one does anything about it. So everyone, so those graduates, I mean, the youth unemployment, correct me if I'm wrong, Martin and Alfred, is something like 60 or 65%.
It's right up there. It might be 67.
It's 67 point. Yeah, 67.2.
Absolutely. It's right up there, definitely.
But companies are closing because they can't afford to keep their doors open because of load shedding and all the other stuff. And now we've got these mafias that come to building sites and things like that. The rule of law. We can just go on. And I'm just bringing these things up because when we go with the kids to your kids, I shouldn't call them kids. I'll get cancelled for that.
Youth.
The youth. Is that the word I must use?
That's the politically correct word.
When we go to the youth, right, and we do these things, and we must bring up these points that we're talking about here today. And what I was also thinking, because at the end of this conversation that we're having, Andy will then put in little packages for Instagram, for X and places like that. Then you guys, and we put it out, and you get because you both seem to like doing content.
We do.
So
100%.
we'll give you some content of our conversation, and we put it out there. And he does wonderful things like an intro with music and all that to really, and we can really start getting kids involved and keen to come on board, to join us.
Absolutely. And that's the medium to reach them ultimately. Other than just going to their schools, you get through to them by their phones. So
And what we must add on there, Andy, we've got to add on that Martin does poetry.
Yeah.
So we can put poems on there. I'm being dead serious.
Yeah,
So we can
yes.
put poems about these issues: fraud, corruption, poems, education.
Yes.
People with degrees, no work.
Yeah.
Because of cadre deployment in private
That
enterprises.
also, and that also, and you're right, because again, it goes back to your question: is it the same thing? Yes, because it affects them too.
Yeah.
It affects them as well, because there's a shift there needs to be a shift in leadership.
Yeah.
You need to introduce your new blood, your new way of doing things, your different perspective, and then you work with that. But if you're not doing that, you're going to forever in a day see the same thing, the same results. That's why a lot of how many voters? 27 million voters we have in the country. It shows you it's not because of the lack of access. It's a lack of hope.
Yeah.
It's again, it goes back to what we're saying in terms of corruption and fraud. It's a mindset.
Yeah.
If you inherit that mindset, it means that it just comes part and parcel. It's part of your psyche. It's something that you start to justify that wasn't wrong. If I take Martin's cup without looking, I took a sip when he went to the bathroom, and he wouldn't know. It's a mindset, knowing that okay, it doesn't hurt anybody, but in the grander scheme of things, it hurts. It hurts a lot of people. I went to, and I'm sorry, I keep going on.
Please
I
go
went to
on. You know,
school.
if we want to join, we'll join you. But you're on the track here. Go.
When you go to a school in the rural areas, I'm not going to name the school. When you go to a school and I saw 90 kids for one teacher, what does that tell you? And mind you, we need teachers. We need teachers in these schools.
Yeah.
And half of the conditions of the school, half the roof, is dilapidated conditions as well. This is a school which produced the top 3 national top achievers, 8 distinctions per 3 of these kids. What does that tell you about is it the conditions that'll change? Is it the mindset? What is needed? Our kids need resources, and it doesn't seem to resonate in the powers that be, that there needs to be significant change in our country. This is the era, because remember, take into consideration, I think I've said this to you a lot, the leaders we have currently are not going to see the next 15 years. They're not going to be around to see it.
So they're all too old.
They're too old.
Yeah.
What's going to happen with the next line of young people and the next line of leaders as well?
Yeah.
So I these are very, very groundbreaking questions. It's beyond saying who you're going to vote for. I get very to say who you're going to. I say, listen, look, just wait. Let me have a look first. Let me assess the situation, and then I'll decide.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to say, okay, I'm loyal to this person, this person. No. It's just a matter of looking at the principles. I've been a person of principle. I'm that person who's grown up in an environment where if you're dishonest, you're going to get the cane.
But that's why you're in the field you're in.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. You're going to get
We've
the
just got to get
belts.
more people on board to do this kind of thing. Right, guys? We are going to change the world.
Yes.
Martin,
Yeah.
Alfred, Corrie, Lulama, Shane, he's still not here. We are going to change the world.
Yeah.
How can people get hold of you, Martin, Alfred? First, Martin, how do they?
Absolutely. The first best place to go to is our website, presidentsaward.co.za. presidentsaward.co.za. Any other channels they can use? We have an office.
Yeah, we have an office here in Foy's Office Park on Rose Street. Office Park, 5 Rose Street, Block 5, sorry.
Yeah, Block
Rose
5.
Street, yes, then we're there as well. And if there's any other platforms, have a look at us on LinkedIn, Facebook. We are available on all social media platforms.
YouTube.
YouTube as well.
So this is going to be on YouTube.
This is on YouTube as well.
So we're going to share
There we
this, the hell out of this thing. Eh?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
That's fantastic. So LinkedIn, is it just President's Award, not South Africa, or just President's Award?
It's President's Award, the President's Award,
Okay.
South Africa, and then it'll take you directly to that platform as
Okay.
well. Yes,
Okay. Instagram, everything.
Yeah.
Is just President's Award.
100%. Yes.
Guys, this has been a fantastic podcast. Chat, not an interview, chat.
Yes.
It's been brilliant. And I think we've got the base now for something big to move forward with.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Alfred,
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Corey.
thank you very much.
All right.
Andy, thanks as usual for running it. And please, folks, I urge you to go and look at Talking Ethics with Lulama and Corrie. It's a podcast on YouTube. But we all over the show. And this one, with the help of Alfred and Martin, we are going to go global, I think.
Stratospheric.
Stratospheric is the word
Stratospheric.
Andy's just shouting. Any other words, gentlemen?
Well, keep doing the right thing.
Here we go. Alfred?
One young person at a time. I think that's it. Yeah.
Keep doing the
Keep
right
doing
thing.
one young person at a time.
There we go. There we go.
That's
Thanks so much, and I'm glad you made it to the end. Thanks so much.
Thank you
guys.
for having us,
Bye-bye.
Corey. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thanks a lot.
All right.
Thank you.
Fire and water, they making war here behind my eye. The bottle she promised a better life, but these tears they cannot lie. Sing to the moon, sing to the stars, sing to the dawn.